gentlemen, on the line, it is our honor at 8bitx.com and the 8-Bit Extravaganza and the 8bitx Radio Network to bring in one of the best video game bands in not only all of Austin, not only in all of Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, the Descendants of Erdrick. Did I get that correct? Now, we are joined by Chris on the bass. We have Amanda on the guitar.
Hi, yes, hello.
We have Lobos on the guitar.
What up?
We have John on the drums.
Greetings all.
And we have Lauren on the flute.
Not present, actually. She couldn't make it to practice today. She had the thing. She can't be here today. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. So welcome to the program. You guys, how have you been?
Oh, very good. Very cold, but very good.
Yes, you're not used to the snow. We're used to the snow.
Uh-oh. RW Dragon did busted.
That's okay, whatever.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I totally derailed the conversation already. It was bound to happen.
Oh, see, we try to keep it introducing everybody. My goodness. This is why we can't have nice things as video gamers. So what's the temperature like down there for you guys?
20s, yeah, 20s. Get down to the teens. I mean, that's Texas cold.
Yeah, it's really cold for us, so I know we're kind of windy.
And we were up in Virginia. We've seen you guys' coldness, and we're pretty sure we can match it some of the days of the week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean 20 is cold regardless. So.
Sorry, we're also reading chat while we're talking.
So you guys are from Austin, and I know, Chris, we were talking at MAGFEST. What is the video game scene like at Austin?
Right now, it's all sitting at this table, as far as we know.
-1.
Yeah. I mean, people really do tend to like us. They come out to our shows and everything like that, but we don't know anybody else that's doing this stuff. There's some chiptune guys out here who we really haven't run into in person. We just know about them. But yeah, I mean, the video game scene here is really great. There's lots of developers. There's lots and lots of gamers. There's lots of nerds. But we're the only band.
So you're the Lone Rangers, if you will, if I could be that hokey.
Yeah, it just kind of happened randomly, actually. Chris and I got together and started playing some video game music, and I thought we were going to run into a bunch of other similar bands here, and it never really happened. And people were mostly like, what is this idea? Really? I've never heard of this. And I'm like, really? This is Austin. There's music everywhere. Nobody's doing this? Okay.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, this is just... I've heard your stuff. It's amazing. We're going to get into some of that. But what we like to do here is we like to go around and see where everyone started in video games. So if we could go one by one through the band, give your gaming lineage, where you started and where you end up today.
Okay. I usually take point on these matters, so we actually we're so pro. We have an interview order. He knows. For me, it all started with the NES. I had never really done video games before that. About age 4, and 1986 or so it was still fairly new. Wasn't quite advanced enough for the Atari, but I could shoot ducks all day, and it pretty much stuck with Nintendo. I mean, I was all about the Mario games. Once I discovered Dragon Warrior and the original Final Fantasy, I was hooked on RPGs, and that's kind of where I still am. I'm just now getting through some of my PlayStation 1 games. I may work on some PlayStation 2 games, but that's pretty much it for me.
And, hi. Okay, so basically it all boils down to Dragon Warrior for the NES. I was 5. I learned to read Old English Dragon Warrior text, watching my older cousins play, also Metroid, Mario stuff, and, yeah, 5 years old, the NES Dragon Warrior. I was the one, you know, who came up with the crazy name.
This is Lobos here. Let's see, I definitely started on NES. I never had a Super Nintendo of my own, but I would pretend to like people so I could go to their houses and play it. That's not true. I love you all. And I had really obscure games because I think my parents just grabbed the ones that were the cheapest on the shelf. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyways, I played Nintendo, and then I didn't have a console until N64, and now I've got, like, everything, so it's whatever. But I'm mostly a PC gamer lately, so that's me. John here, talking now. I grew up with the first system that I remember playing was the old school Atari and ColecoVision. My older brother and sister had that or whatever, and then I remember, I think, 1987, 88, somewhere around there, I was like 4 or 5. I got the...
We're reading the chat.
Yeah.
Funny.
I got a Nintendo Entertainment System bundle, with Super Mario Brother and Duck Hunt and all that stuff, and that's pretty much how it started for me. And then it kind of progressed into Legend of Zelda and some other obscure games. I was kind of in the same boat with like Lobos and Chris. I got the cheap games off the shelf. I had like it wasn't really cheap, but I had like American Gladiators, the game, and like bowling and Pac-Man ported to the NES, stuff like that. But now I have pretty much everything. I have 360, PS3, Wii, Game of Life. God, sorry, I had to do it.
Yeah, I forgot to actually answer one part of that question is, where am I now in games? I'm still playing the NES.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we still play it. We consider it homework now.
Yeah.
It's like, this is part of our job, man. We got to research. But actually, hearing these two talk about obscure games like bargain bin kind of stuff, I totally, here was like part of my catalog for ages like 9 through 13. It was Dragon's Lair on the NES, Destination Earthstar, and Snake Rattle and Roll, Journey to Silius, and Metal Storm. Those are like my top games, other than like Mario 3 and Zelda and all that.
That is, wow. I mean, talk about B-sides. Wow.
Yeah.
Now we have Rob has a question here, co-host Rob. Go ahead.
How you guys doing? Well, I got to ask you one thing. If you remember back when Nintendo Power had a promotion where if you signed up, you could get a free copy of Dragon Warrior. And that was how they got me hooked on both of them at that point. And I was wondering if any of you guys took advantage of that sweet, sweet deal back then.
I'm actually just a little bit too young for that to actually remember when it happened, but I do remember seeing some back issues that featured that, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, why didn't I know about this then? But I was like 4.
Like in the dim mists of my childhood, this commercial for it?
Yeah, like I think I just saw some, not really, I never saw the commercial, but basically I was hooked on Nintendo Power. All my older cousins had it, and I was, bugging my parents, and eventually they got us a subscription, myself and my brother, and we were just really lucky to have Nintendo Power because it was just the only way that you would ever know anything about games. There was no game facts or, anything like that back then. So, oh man, that was fun.
I never did Nintendo Power. I only bought like single issues or had them like handed down from like other relatives or friends that didn't want them anymore. So kind of a poor existence if you ask me. But I was a rental store kid, so we would rent games all the time. We would buy games that were the cheapest for like the big things, like Final Fantasy or whatever. I think I remember renting Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo, Final Fantasy 6 now for those who weren't alive in the 90s. Basically, I think we rented it probably enough to have paid for it twice, like to just purchase it. And then I ultimately got my own cartridge copy from a friend who gave away a Super Nintendo and forgot to give away that game, so he gave it away to me. He was like, "Oh, here you go." I was like, "All right, great." Like, that's just a story I thought of.
Now, and you know what? Games were so rare to actually own, like you were saying, because you got the Christmas and you got the birthday, and you're lucky.
Yeah.
And you're lucky if you get one game on each. So whatever you got, if you got Snake, Rattle, and Roll, you were stuck with Snake, Rattle, and Roll.
It is so true. I got to the very last boss of Snake, Rattle, and Roll, and I never beat him. And I've gotten through 8 exact same stages in Destination Earthstar, and I figured out that I don't think the game actually has an ending. It just keeps looping. The same thing with, like, CNC Surf Designs. I actually wound up with that one from a cousin, and I just kept playing and kept expecting there to be something different in it, but,
Now,
you couldn't tell anyone who likes TNT Surf Designs into the D&D catalog. There's actually a story about that if you want to ask us about it later.
you brought up TNC Surf Design, and I was telling, me and Chris were joking while we were setting up this interview. I could literally talk about TNC Surf Design for 45 minutes, but so let's briefly talk about the first track on your album, the track that cemented you as legends in my mind.
Yay!
TNC Surf Design, how did you come to do that track?
Okay, I would say that the story probably starts with me and ends with Lobo.
And I'm somewhere in the middle.
And Amanda's somewhere in the middle. I was in a band, actually the band that I met Amanda through, where the singer was basically saying, "Why don't we record some video game music just for the hell of it?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." And he was like, "Do you think you could learn the guitar solo to TNC Surf Design?" And I was like, "No." I'm an okay guitarist at best, but my instrument is the bass. And but I tried anyway, and I kept thinking about it, and because we had both played it as kids, and we kind of connected through that because it's just one of those games that it's so crazy. If you find another person that's even heard of it, it's like you have this instant connection. As you can probably tell. So when it came time to do Descendants of Erdrick, and we were deciding, Amanda and I wanted to expand it into a full band. We were wanting to try out guitarists, and when Lobos came to the door, we were really impressed by his skill, but I was like, dude, there's this game I've always wanted to learn the music from. It's just a little 1-minute song, and here we go. And so I hopped in the game and slowed down the surfboard so I could get through the entire minute of music. And he listened to the solo and then learned it right there on the spot, and that's when we hired him.
Yeah, that was his audition.
Yeah, Snake, Rattle, and Roll got us a guitarist. That's how it brought us all together.
What?
TNC Surf Designs. I'm sorry, what did I say? Snake, Rattle, and Roll. I was reading the words Snake, Rattle, and Roll.
We can't read and talk at the same time.
We're just musicians. But that's kind of how we got it all together, and then we decided, it's such a great and short song. We should start every show with it. We should even start our album with it. So that's how it wound up on the first track.
Yeah, that's pretty much our introduction track. Everybody knows that we've started rocking the house when we throw that one on.
Now, your album, which contains this joyous song, the song of the celebratory childhood, is downright heavy. That's the title of the CD, and it's not spelled out. It's an arrow down, it's an arrow right, and then the word heavy.
Yeah. That was John's idea, I think, and Amanda's design.
Yeah.
So, downright heavy is the joke.
Now, something about your sound, it's almost in time with the game. I can imagine myself playing to the songs that you're playing the games to, and it would almost be on point. Is that something that you strive to do? Because you're much faster than other bands that have tried to do similar games.
Oh, thank you very much. That's actually exactly what we go for. I think John should take point on explaining our procedures for how we actually work these songs into our repertoire, if you will, John.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, basically, from the get-go, they said that, you know, or at least what I gathered from this band is that we want to be as true to the source material as possible. And one of the things that Amanda had said is that one thing that she noticed with other video game bands is that they tend to seem to play the song slower. And so I was like, well, we can easily remedy that. You know, I have a metronome that we can play, you know, like play to at shows, and when we record to a quick track, and basically I cap out the exact tempo by listening to the tracks from the game. And I program them in when we start to play, when I count us off at shows, and we record to a quick track for the album. And we really, yeah, like you said, we really strive to be as exact as possible. And sometimes, although I've noticed that at live shows, it starts that way, but we just get so excited that we end up taking things even faster than that. So we're like twice as fast as other video game bands. Unexplosive, yeah. We're twice as fast as your average video game band. We're the fastest band alive.
Oh, that is classic.
Well, I would have to say that I am extremely anal about about playing every note for note.
You said anal on the internet.
Anal internet. But yeah, from the beginning, I would like sit down and isolate the tracks and slow them down to make sure that we're all playing the notes right. And I yell at people as they go. So that's the other half of the probably.
So you yell at people at the practice.
What?
You yell at people at practice.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
I yell at people and dude.
I actually I was primarily an acoustic guitarist for most of my career as a musician, and this band has really elevated my technique for playing electric guitar. I learned how to do finger tapping, and what else did I learn? Sweep picking in like the past year. These are all things that I never really knew how to do. But yeah, we've actually only been together for 1 year. Because I'm looking at the chat log here, and there's some questions.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna let them ask the question.
yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm really good at derailing the conversation.
No, hey, take the question from Jay the Yellow. I'm not sure how that name came about, but that's another story for another time.
John Anderson.
He's a friend of ours.
How long have you been a 5-piece band?
I guess you could say since our kind of debut show came over video games. I want to say that was perhaps the middle of March of last year. So
Yeah, as Amanda just pointed out or whatever. Basically, I was the last official member to join. I guess like Lauren and I came about the same time or whatever. But I auditioned for them for the 3 logos, Amanda and Chris, on Super Bowl Sunday of last year. So since we passed that, it's and then we played our first show basically like 3 weeks after that. So yeah, we're rapidly approaching the annual mark.
Basically, I remember thinking to myself, I have a band with 3 guys, and nobody cares it's Super Bowl Sunday. This is amazing!
yeah, we're a band of nerds.
Yeah.
Now, did you watch this Super Bowl?
No.
No.
I want to say we were at practice again.
I think we were friends.
We practiced on
Nobody, I forgot.
Yeah, it did. Okay.
Sean says, next time you're taking photos, now we have the press release that you have, but he says a 5-group member shot in action would be preferable because he was doing the mini site and all, but those photos happen on stage. So when you're playing these events and these gigs over in Texas, what is the reception to an audience who may or may not be tuned into the video game scene or thinking, I'm going to hear a video game cover band tonight?
We've had our reactions from crowds is always positive. Nobody's ever really, and I don't think people really do this, nobody's really come up to us and told us we're bad. It's just kind of like when people, we do tend to notice that at live shows, people pay more attention to things that we play like Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, Street Fighter 2, things that, everybody has heard before. And, everybody recognizes. Whereas, on the internet, people don't care about that. They want to hear Dave's theme and Castlevania and TNT Surf Designs,
Yeah, I had a friend of mine come to a show one time, and the very first time, and one thing that he said after the show kind of blew me away because, he's not really picky, but, basically I wasn't sure how he was going to receive us, and he came up to us and he's like, man, you guys are an awesome band. And I was like, yeah, it's just, sometimes I'm not really sure, what kind of how people are going to be receptive to a video game band. He's like, no, you're not a good video game band, you're a good band in general. And so, that's one of the things I noticed when I'm up there on stage that, we seem to be really energetic and get a lot of, we feed off the energy of the crowd, and it seems to be, just like any other rock show, in a sense. Except not so much moshing going on. Not like MAGFEST. We haven't had a MAGFEST style, show where just the first 20 rows of people are bouncing off each other and doing the Colossus yell.
That is the goal. I hope that's the future.
Yeah. We're striving to that. We're taking steps to make that happen.
Yes.
And we're trying to get you guys there because you guys, your CD, we played it in the hotel when we came back, and we're like, these guys have to play live. Because, again, like the man said, you're a good band. And what we're seeing now at MAGFest is the fact that there was moshing going on, like you said, and just an all-out, a rock show. It's not just nerds getting together. Now it's a full-fledged concert. And so excited to help propel you guys on our 15-person talk show that we can do.
We're really hoping to do that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, we have a question in the chat room. Favorite video game of all time and music at the same time.
Oh, man.
We're going to keep this one kind of brief because we can go on and on.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and start. It boils down to the Dragon Warrior Trilogy of Erdrick. And I'm including 2 in there because it's part of the trilogy, not because I really like it. And also Final Fantasy VI. Music-wise, I gotta say Final Fantasy VI. Basically, that's amazing to me, so. Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, regular music. I could not really understand the question. Regular music, I like a whole lot of random things. I'm a really big Madonna fan. I also like metal. I know that doesn't make any sense, but to me it does. Yeah, so Madonna and metal. That's my combination.
Dragon Warrior 2 does kick your ass, it's true. That ass on the internet. Ass on the internet. And I've got family here and everything. Okay, favorite game of all time, I've concluded that it's Earthbound. It comes and goes. Sometimes I'll think Mario 3. Sometimes Excite Truck on the Wii. I have an unusual fondness for that game. But Earthbound is the one I keep coming back to. Favorite music, I'm pretty neatly divided between kind of Johnny Cash and Leonard Cohen, songwriters and people who do serious stuff. And then progressive rock from England from the 70s. Pretty much it.
Favorite game, I would have to say just Link to the Past. Favorite music from video games, I would have to say probably Link to the Past also, and Chrono Trigger, some of my favorites. Well, not Chrono Trigger, but Link to the Past is one I played a ton as a kid, and I really remember the music from it. And then as far as real music, I'm big into progressive rock and metal and virtuoso guitar, instrumental like Satriani, Levi, etc.
Hey, video game music is real music. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's more than real music. Yeah, it's true. I forgot the question. Oh yeah, favorite video game of all time. I'm gonna have to go more new school with this, however.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We all know your answer to this one. Change. Change.
Dragon Age Origins actually has become by far hands down my most favorite game of all time. I can't, it's hard for me to explain it because I was never really in RPGs, but I absolutely love that game. And favorite music is kind of a toss-up between a lot of the Castlevania stuff and Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, because this segues into my next thing about my favorite, regular music, which is metal, just heavy metal. Nothing screamy. Like bands like Symphony X, Iced, Blind Guardian, Soilwork, Metallica. Like old Metallica. Anything after the Black Album is no good for me. That kind of stuff. So like
load is like 60%.
Final Fantasy Mystic Quest has some really heavy stuff in it, and that's another reason why we do it. And it's also the last track on the album.
Also, okay, real quick, I see in the chat room, no Mega Man. I grew up on Mega Man 3.
3
was better than 2. 3 was epic.
This is going to be the argument.
Okay.
2 is easier.
2 is
I like 4 the best. 4 is my favorite.
Like it because that bear design? Really? Well,
no one ever said Mega Man 1.
The slide.
Okay, the slide is cool.
Okay, Rush, what is the item number 2?
All right, anyway. This will be the argument that breaks up the band. What do you think? It's going to be Mega Man. Mega Man is going to be the argument that breaks up the band. You see. You watch.
Oh, is it going to be like a Descendants of Mega Man after this the argument?
Descendants of Rock. I don't know.
So, what are some songs or some games? There's always that game that everyone just craps on. For instance, Renegade for the NES. Everybody hates that game. They don't value it for what value it put into gaming. You know what the hell I'm trying to say here. But it influenced every beat 'em up down the line. We also enjoy the Yo-Noid as a very underrated game.
Yo-Noid was a childhood game for me, and I love it, and I still love it, and the music's awesome. Thanks.
That was Lobos.
So, are there any games that come to mind under that pretense where it's a childhood game, you love it, may not be the best game in the world, like 10-Yard Fight, for instance? These kind of games that may suck to the general populace, but you love, like Jackal. These kind of things.
Oh, that's a good game.
I love Jackal.
Hey, that's Konami. You can't talk smack about Konami.
I love Jackal.
Everybody's going to say, so let's go down the line.
Okay, so this is kind of a guilty pleasure. The Who Framed Roger Rabbit game for the NES. I mean, like, the idea was amazing. The execution was horrible. And that's all I got to say about it.
On top of the list I said earlier, Destination Earthstar, Snake Rattle, and all of those, I always step up to defend the original Ultra Games presents Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
sorry. That's all right. We'll take Zelda 2. Before the arcade game came out, and when they had to come out with something, they came out with this. But this is the game I got with the Nintendo and with Super Mario Brothers. So this is like my original game that I had. I've beaten it several times, and people keep complaining about things they're like, oh, that damn level is so damn hard, and I'm like, it's not that hard. You just work at it, and it's like, a lot of people give certain games a lot of complaints when those complaints can be shifted laterally to just about any other game in that era. A lot of NES games were hard, and I think a lot of them were good despite what people think, and that's the original Ninja Turtles to me.
Man, I loved all my games, and I still do. I don't know. Dino Riki is kind of weird to play nowadays. I get confused by that, but I remember renting Home Alone several times, and now I haven't even played it recently, but I remember just hiding behind the dresser by holding up, and I was like, what am I don't know. That game's really confusing to me. I haven't played that in a while, so it could be different. But yeah, I don't know.
I guess as for Chris' request, I'll talk about Zelda 2, you know, Adventures of Link. It's not always really pooped on me because a lot of people, there's a lot of people that I know that like the game and stuff like that. I mean, it did catch some flack for doing, you know, some things different than the original. Because usually when you hear about this, you know, about the Zelda games, it's always the original Zelda, and then you go to Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time. Like, those are the big, and those two always get kind of left out. Whereas for me, that one, next to Ocarina of Time, is by far my favorite in the Zelda series. Just because it added another dimension. It was one of those progressive kind of games that added another dimension into the Zelda games, where you became a 2D side scroller when you walked into towns and things like that. And it wasn't just a top-down,
It felt more like an adventure than just a single quest. It was more like you have a lot of things to do, not just one thing.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool about it.
I mean, yeah, and because of the whole, I like the palaces better than the dungeons. You know, just the side scrolling and the jumping and the downward thrust and all that stuff.
Except for those bouncy jackal guys that like take away your experience points when they hit you. That's
you just gotta be that much better, man. Much quicker.
Zelda 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. And I really didn't put two and two together with how they did do palaces instead of the dungeons. But that was so cool. Because the downward thrust, man. If you downward thrust.
Yeah.
We have a question in the chat room. Jay the Yellow wants some information on what it's like having a flute player in the band.
Hard to sound check. No, just kidding. But seriously, actually, we were, I don't know, I think the idea when she emailed us at first, I was like a flute player. But then when she showed up and like could play all the parts and was really nice and awesome and stuff, then I was like, that's great. And then, did you want to say something?
Oh, yeah. Well, basically, the way this entire thing started was I put out a Craigslist ad just searching for random musicians for a possible video game project band, or, it wasn't really a solidified thing. And Lauren sends me an email, and she goes, hey, I play flute. I don't know. You're probably not looking for flute. I'm sure this is a rock band. But, hey, just in case y'all want flute. And if not, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, we can have flute. Who says we can't have flute? Let's have some flute in the rock band. And yeah, she really does help out to color some of the songs. Like sometimes she'll play the melody along with me. Sometimes we'll actually create harmonies. Kind of rarely, but we do that on occasion, just to kind of beef up the sound. And it's actually really awesome having a flute player in a rock band, in a metal band.
And an interesting point that I found out from more of a technical standpoint, I guess, is the triangle waveform that they use for the NES's sound synthesizer. At low frequency, sounds like a bass. It's the bass instrument. But if you pitch it up to a high frequency, it sounds exactly like a flute. So there actually already is flute in like a very fluty sound in a lot of NES kind of music. So, I mean, that turned out to be more fortuitous than we thought at first when we were just like, you're awesome, you're hired.
And yes, it really does help to play Terra's theme and Proto Man theme and Legend of Zelda, with a flute player.
Oh, yeah.
That just gives us a lot more cred.
Yeah, you get some good spotlight.
One of the first songs I remember going, hey, this flute sounds awesome in the band, is when we put flute to Little Nemo, the Dream Master, and we started playing that. And even though she was just mirroring the melody for the most part, it just sounded that much fuller. And I very much liked it.
Anyway, sorry, what?
It's Doug Stanton.
Yeah.
Sorry. And the other thing, Frog's theme, that's like, I don't really think that we could do Frog's theme, justice without a flute, and those kinds of things.
That's one that we do at live shows, by the way. We haven't recorded that yet.
Yeah.
But we do Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger is getting a lot of attention from various video game bands. Is there any song out there or any game that you're just like, you know what, we're just not going to do it. We're not going to go the popular Mega Man 2 route, for instance, or some of this song like Final Fantasy 7, we refuse. We're sick of hearing this, or whatever have you. Possibly. Did I lose him? I think I did. Thought it was just awkward silence. We'll do everything. Oh, yes.
And we're back.
And we're live radio, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Yay!
A lovely live show.
So, we have a question from Sean 8BitX. Who is better at surfing and who is better at skateboarding in town and country surf design?
I'm sorry, I didn't. In TNC, yes. I didn't prep the band for this one. Sorry. I gotta say, I am better at skateboarding because I figured it out first. Surfing took me a long time to figure out the actual mechanics of it, and I still am not that deft at it. So skateboarding for me.
I take pride in my skateboard abilities, but I don't think I've ever actually played the surfing portion of it, so that's my fault for today.
Yeah, I pretty much I've never actually played TNT surf design. My skateboarding and surfing skill only extend to California games, which is all. And I was pretty damn good at that. So
Oh, and also I forgot to mention one of those other guilty pleasure games that has to do with skating, Skate or Die, and or Die.
Yeah.
Just overcoming some minor technical difficulties. So,
All right.
is there any song that Descendants of Erdrick will not do? You just refuse. I'm sorry, we get too many requests for Duck Hunt. We're not doing it.
We haven't gotten a single request for Duck Hunt. We are looking for requests for Duck Hunt.
yeah.
We will do it.
Clay shooting. Can somebody do clay shooting?
Oh, yeah. Actually, we gotta go.
I know.
It's going to be an acapella track. We're just going to mouth all the stuff.
Oh, did you, when you played Duck Hunt, and I did the clay shooting, obviously, I like to challenge myself, and they would thum, thum, and then I would wait until they got just, lower than the mountains, before they got to the horizon, to try to pick them off.
Yeah, I would get it. Gotta wait till they're 3 pixels long, and then you just and then you blow on the barrel of the little plastic barrel thing.
Now, be honest. Who cheated? Who cheated Duck Hunt?
Oh yeah, absolutely. All the time. Especially when I put it on the hardest difficulty level, I would just go right there, right up on the TV.
Now, what an age we live in where you cannot use the light gun with the LCD TVs.
I know. I want to kind of test the theory. I have a CRT high definition television, and I wonder if I hook a Nintendo up to it, if I can use it. But yeah, it's really unfortunate. I mean, it's kind of, you got to get an old school TV to play proper Duck Hunt. I would suggest hotel rooms while jumping on the bed.
Yes, those work well.
So we're here with the Descendants of Erdrick. We're gonna, I don't know what else I could ask. You guys are amazing. Pick up the album. It is downright heavy. $11.99. Come on. You spend more money on garbage. You really do. I mean, how much is a coffee? Come on. You don't need... We have a coffee addict in the house. But no, seriously, $12. You can get it on iTunes, Amazon.com. We're trying to get them to MAGFEST. Demand them at MAGFEST.
We want to play MAGFEST, people.
Tell your friends. Tell your dog. Tell
your dog.
Tell your friends, and moms.
Tell people at Walmart.
Stop people on the street and tell them.
So Chris, you were at MAGFEST. Overall, what did you think of MAGFEST?
It really felt kind of like Nirvana for what we do, and for the fact that I'm somebody that almost unique to everybody else that I grew up with. I kind of was a video game fan, despite the fact that nobody else really was that into it. You know, other than like some of my, you know, like maybe one or two friends. So it's like going to MAGFest, and for one, we've been to 6 conventions so far, like I think, as Descendants of Erdrick, and playing and meeting people and all this other stuff. And just attending MAGFest, we got more people checking out our Facebook page. We got more friends, more friendly people talking to us than I think we have at most of the other conventions we've played. So it's like, it really is like a one-of-a-kind convention. I don't even like really calling it a convention. It's like, it's so much more of a party, of a get-together, you know. It was a really amazing time.
Yeah, I was there too, and I didn't really know what to expect, you know, because like you said, having been to so many conventions and being let down most of the time, and you know, being pleasantly surprised other times, I wasn't really sure what to expect from MAGFest, not knowing anything about it really. And when I went there, I was blown away, and I was like, this is where we need to be. You know, I wish I would have known about this way before I joined Descendants of Erdrick, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, because as a gamer, it really is like, maybe next to PAX and also like that, it really is like one of the best places you could go, just for camaraderie with fellow gamers, awesome live shows, you know, that you can't really get anywhere else, especially because it brings all these bands from across the country to one place. You know, all those bands were really great, and it's just, I can't wait to go again, even if we aren't playing, to be honest.
So you guys really have no limit to where you'll travel to play?
I want to go to Japan at some point. Dragon Warrior Freak or Dragon Quest, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think within reason, I think we can do pretty much anything. Especially given a lot of planning. We tend to plan things out like way far in advance. Like, we've been working on our second album since our first album was done, if not before then. So it's like, we're always like trying to do things like that. And yeah, I mean, if there's a call for a video game rock band to come out and do their best, then we're going to go out and do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Descendants of Erdrick. Rob, any final thoughts here?
Will they come and play on the Pennsylvania ice shelf?
Where the Pennsylvania ice shelf?
It's right here.
Oh,
it's called parking across the street from your house.
Yeah, speaking of, I looked at, when you guys were following us on Twitter, I noticed that you following us on Twitter, that you guys are from Allentown, Pennsylvania, and actually have a lot of family that lives out there. Which
nice!
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Sorry, I'm chatting in the chat room. I hear all the conversation.
Yeah, I have cousins and aunts and uncles and all kinds of stuff.
You guys, the Descendants of Erdrick, we're trying to get them to MAGFest. We got to get them to every convention. They need your help. First of all, the merchandise. You won't find merchandise more creative in any other band. You guys got the bleached t-shirts. You got the buttons for the band members. It's fantastic. Pick up some of the merchandise. Pick up the album. Fund these guys to go to these concerts, these conventions, and let's get them to MAGFest. It's up to every one of us to spread the word.
Yay!
Thank you.
I believe in you.
We're going to get into TNC Surf Design, of course, and a few other tracks. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for doing what you do best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We love you. You make us love doing what we do.
It's an honor. Thank you again.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Internet.
Descendants of Erdrick. Rob, are you excited? Are you picking up the album, Rob?
Yeah, I hear it is not unreasonably priced.
$12.
$12. You spend more on crack.
The CD art on it. What? The CD art on it is fantastic. When Chris first showed me the CD, I was blown away by the fancy cover and stuff. And then I turned it over. First song was TNC Surf Design. I threw the CD down and started yelling hysterically. I'm surprised he even talks to me at this point. But we're going to get into some Descendants of Erdrick right here. TNC Surf Design. Wood and Water Rage right here, 8bitx.com.